David's finger stops on page 1 of the contract. The property number isn't his house. The HOA built their entire fortress on land they don't own. 30 years earlier, David had no idea any of this would happen. He was just a guy who bought some farmland at the end of a dirt road. The land sat far from the tarred road, out past where the old farmhouse used to be. It was cheap. It was quiet. Nobody wanted it but him. David imagined farming. Neat rows of vegetables. A life of honest work in the dirt. He did exactly none of it. 10 years pass. The dirt road gets paved. Developers start sniffing around. A group of landowners quietly organizes themselves into something official. One of them knocks on David's door. Wants to buy half his property. Offers him 4 times what he paid for the entire chunk a decade earlier. David signs. Takes the money, adds a small bank loan, and builds himself a real house. A nice one. Big enough for family. His mother moves in with him. David starts plans to subdivide the rest of the land and build her a little place right next door. The tumor is found too late. She dies before the second house is even started. The subdivided lot sits empty, silent, waiting for nothing. David moves out. Rents the big house to a quiet young family. Tries not to drive past it if he can help it. That's when the neighbors form their HOA. They ask David to join. He says no. They ask again. He says no harder. Eventually they settle for an easement. A welcome sign on his lawn. A guard hut in the corner. $35 a month and a free gardener. In 10 years, that same gardener would be mowing land the HOA didn't actually own. But David didn't know that yet. For a decade, life is quiet. Rent comes in. The lawn stays trim. The takeaway money hits every month like clockwork. Then one night, someone fires a gun outside his tenant's daughter's bedroom window. Not once. 4 times over a single month. The tenant panics. The HOA panics. Everyone lands on the same idea: build a wall around the whole neighborhood. Electric fence. Cameras. The works. The HOA makes David an offer. Join us. We waive your fees. We waive the rules. You get a fortress. You give us nothing. David can't see a downside. He signs the papers without reading them. Just initials where they point. The wall goes up. Takes just over a year. Looks beautiful. Feels permanent. Feels, for the first time in decades, safe. Exactly 1 month after the last brick is laid, his tenant gets a formal warning letter about the dogs barking. The tenant reminds the HOA the property is exempt. The HOA replies, not anymore. You have 30 days to comply. David tears open the stack of mail he'd been ignoring. Back fees. Cancelled easement. Demands for refunds. Fine stacking higher every page. Lawyers. Court dates. Filings in triplicate. Money bleeding out of David faster than rent comes in. The judge rules for the HOA. They have the right to revoke everything. David just gets 30 days of notice as a consolation prize. On his way out, the neighbor who started it all leans in and mutters, "You should have read the contract, friend." Next time, maybe. David drives home furious. Pours a drink. Opens the HOA contract with one goal: find every rule he can break on a technicality. He doesn't make it past the first page. The property number on the contract isn't the rental house. It's the empty lot he'd sliced off for his mother. The lot nobody ever built on. The easement was never on the rental. The sign, the guard hut, the wall, the cameras, every piece of it sits on a plot the HOA has no real agreement on. His rental house, the one his tenant lives in, was never actually in the HOA at all. None of their rules apply. None of them ever did. The next day, the neighbor drives an hour out just to personally serve David 2 certified letters. Exemptions revoked. Easement cancelled. Very official. David signs for them both with a small, patient smile. Thanks the neighbor. Waits for the man to drive the hour back. Then he calls his lawyer. Tells him to inform the HOA they are trespassing. On a wall they built. Around a neighborhood that doesn't legally include him. A week later, the HOA president starts quietly asking his lawyer what it takes to leave the country. David sets the contract down on the kitchen table. His hands aren't shaking anymore. Just steady. Just done.